Good morning, Mgtows. Good morning, man. I say good morning, man, on this day. Let me wait for my podcast to actually start here. Waiting.
Good morning, man.
There we go.
I say good morning.
That gives me my sound check. So, good morning, men. Good morning, Mgtows. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that's been on my mind for a while. And what I get around here is we get a lot of female apologists. We get a lot of pedo apologists. We get a lot of apologists in all sorts. We get Yobaxa. We get Stefanorian. We get all their crowd. And what they are is they're just apologizing for some kind of wrong they perceived as being done from the pedo apologist is the worst, the feminist apologist, guys that come around here and says, oh, the girls aren't that bad. They're feminizing, they're apologizing for what becomes a misconception in their head by feminism. They think that feminism is different than females and females are different than feminism, and it all confused in their tiny little brains, and they can't get it through their head that they're the same beast. And they start apologizing for the female on one side. The female doesn't do that. All of them aren't that way. The Walt argument and everything. We get this with the pedo apologists too. But right now I'm going to address the pedo apologists for the retards out there that have no idea what I'm talking about. Uh, some of the people in England will know the story about the truth of the labor apologist for pedophilia. I'll put it up on the board so people can see it. It was Harriet Herman K. Harriet Herman is still to this day in British Parliament, but she has one transgression against the world. And I do say the world. She's an apologist. She was a pedophile apologist, and it led to the abuse of several hundred children. Let me put this up here, and there we go. Let me blop that down, and hopefully you can see it. And I will enlarge so everybody can see it. And this is what I think. I hope that becomes very clear for you guys. Yeah. The truth about the labor apologists for pedophilia. They're pedo apologists. Police probe child sex campaign group linked to 3 top party officials in the wake of the the Savile scandal. We all know what that. You thought that was over. Not really. That still goes on today. Harriet Herman, Jack Dromey, Patricia Hewitt linked to a vile group where there are key figures of the National Council for Civil Liberties, the NCCC, the typical save the world kind of people, and everybody's innocent. And what they were doing was the NCCC was affiliated with the Paedophile Exchange, the Paedophile Information Exchange. It was an act, what's called PI. The PI members moved children from one place to another and often led to abuse. It was overzealous pedophile apologists. The full extent of the shocking link between senior labor figures, a vile group that tried to legalize sex with children, can be exposed today. And if you think about it, they're just telling the truth here about what these people. There's Harriet Herman and her husband. The trio held a role in human rights organizations that supported the notorious Pedophile Information Act. That was this Jimmy Savile case, the whole thing that went on. Labor Party leaders, Harriet Herman and her husband spoke of spokesman Jack Dromey and the former health Secretary Patricia Hewitt, all leading to Civil and National Council for Civil Liberties. Astonishingly, the left-wing group, I have no idea what they are, left-wing and right-wing over there. I don't really care. I usually try to stay in the middle on these things, but they want to throw around party politics. That's okay with me. Just hurl this on this group. The group of predatory pedophiles were calling for the age of consent to be cut to 4. And that's what the Milo, and that's what the what's his name, the other guy and the Tyler and all those guys. That's what they're pushing for. Uh, the senior source of investigation say the evidence of the Pi memos were abusing children on an industrial scale. These were people that were supposed to be in charge of protecting children and the public against rampant pedophilia that was going on at that time. Sorry, I'm pouring myself a cup of coffee I made this morning. I blended these beans up. These are really special. I've been saving these beans for a while. What they are is Jamaican and the beans that I like brewed on the mount of Mount Kilimanjaro. Freaking delicious. Jamaican is just the best coffee in the whole. I roasted some up yesterday. And to get back to the civil servants that were thrown through the decades of files after an insider claimed tens of thousands of pounds were funneled to the group Pi. And it was a network of child abusers. And what had happened was this group, I can go through this whole article, and Miss Herman says this story is untrue and ridiculous. Of course they say it is, and that's what people do. And there was this whole big link, and but the thing that most people don't see in this is these people that were in charge of taking care of something. The Metropolitan Police began operating in Feignbridge on 2013. The allegations that residents of the child's home in Richmond, London, were taken to a nearby Elm guest house in Barnes where they were abused. That's the end result of pedo apologists. That's the end result of these. Harriet Herman is the biggest feminist in Parliament now. She's calling for, you can't say that. And what they were saying to me on this day, on this 4th of July, where we put everything in awe, of one thing above all is freedom of speech. Now today, freedom of speech, Joe is on a different channel because my freedom of speech was taken. Mgtow, traversable asceticism, now broadcast from traversable Mgtow on a different channel with a lot less viewers, because somebody said that I can't say this, I can't say what I say, and my rights to broadcast were taken from me by what I consider female apologists and pedo apologists. And I will never apologize to these people. I will never say I'm sorry for the things I say about these people. Yobaxa, the pedophile apologist, and anybody in those groups, Hairless Ape, Stephanorian, they're all a bunch of freaks like Harriet Herman, exactly the same as Harriet Herman, that will lead to bad things. They're exactly the same. If you're defending those kind of people, then yes, you are on my list for extermination. Unfortunately, in this country, we're not allowed to do that, but we should be. We really should be. And that's what the story I wanted to link. So we all know the story of Harriet Herman. We all know how these things grow, and we all know the horrible effects of these things. And it all comes from starting apology. Harriet Herman, Labor Party member, was a solicitor lawyer representing a pedophile exchange in the 70s. Yes, she was. But now she's sitting in Congress and nobody wants that. Sometimes these people that get accused of these are very, very powerful people. Harriet Herman and her group is a very, very powerful group, but it doesn't mean that I am not allowed to say what I need to say about these people. It doesn't mean I do not have my right to free speech on YouTube. And that's what was taken from me a month ago. That what was taken from me. They were saying I'm not allowed to say what I said. And I said nothing. I had to legislate. I had to regulate something on my channel That wasn't even my voice. That was some stupid, it was just some stupid mumblings and everything. But they held me. They took my right to speech. And I wanted to put that out there today on the 4th of July, on the 4th of July, which every single American holds one thing dear. The truest form of being an American on this day is your right to free speech in the First Amendment. Yeah, that's Jimmy Savile, Joe. Yeah, yeah. And that's what I wanted to put out today. I wanted to say happy 4th of July. I know that bothers my English friends over there, but we celebrate one thing on this day. We celebrate, well, two things that go in order: our right to free speech, a right to say what we want, the right to just blurt it out and say anything. And if I call someone a pedophile, I don't really care, and I'm not a fucking apologizing for it. I get Yobaxa, I get Stephanie, I get that whole crowd of imbecile, juvenile, moron, leftist freaks. They're coming at Howard. They're coming at me. They're coming at for saying what I believe is true and right. And I have every right to say what I believe is true and right in this. And I will defend that with my life. And I have. So when the hairless ape and those guys practice their apology and can't get the difference because they're so stupid and lame in their head, they're so stupid and they lame in their head. They're practicing pedophilia apology just like Harriet Herman was, the leftist cunt, and then telling me that they're some kind of right organization. I don't believe it. You look at the hairless apes politics, and then you wonder why he's acting just like Harriet Herman acted, just like them people acted. Saying, "Oh, you can't say that, Joe," which is why I call them people contrary. They're contrarians. And I will never apologize to those people, and they can go fuck themselves. Because on this day, in this day right here, we practice one thing. We practice freedom of speech and a right to bear arms. If you don't, it goes in order for a reason. If you don't let me speak freely, I have the right to bear arms. That's the way the order goes. And we believe in it. And a lot of those rights right now are being taken from us methodically by people like Harriet Herman, people just like her. They're saying, "Oh, Joe, you're not allowed to say that." And they become these insipid apologists for feminism. And yes, Yobaxa is an apologist for feminists. But they don't get the link in their head because there's no such thing as feminism. It's just females, and they become female apologists for female nature. And that's what we get by all these queer MRAs, these idiot MRAs, these weird MRAs that take things out of context and they never use the whole context of they're just insipid little anti-Mgtows that want to take our right to say what we want to say. They are the leftist piece of trash, and it's just, it makes me sick what comes out of these things. Now, I often take both sides arguments, the merit of both sides arguments. Sometimes the left has some merit on it. Sometimes the right has some merit on it. And I try to stay directly in the middle. But in this case, I see such a hypocrisy in the hairless ape and Yobaxa and those guys. They will spout out that Trump stuff. They will spout out that far right stuff. And then they act just like Harriet Herman. They say, "Joe, you're not allowed to say that." They are contrary individuals. And on this day, I will not put up with contrary individuals. So I hope you're all having a really good day. I just pulled out my Jamaican blend coffee. Mm. And on this day, I treat myself to that. I like it because, well, I like it because I like it because it's the best coffee in the world, grown on a mount face of pure ash in Jamaica. I mix it a little with the coffee that it costs $50 a pound, so I don't suggest ordering it if you're watching your budget. If you order some, you can keep it around the house for special events and stuff when you have friends over and you want to serve them the absolute best. But it is $50 a pound, and that's what you're going to pay for it. I try to roast my own. I pay a little less by roasting my own, but I have to make sure I get it right and be very meticulous in how I roast it. But I've been doing my own coffee roasting for a number of years, probably 10 years here, and I like doing it and I know how to do it and I make it exactly what I want in life. And that's what we talk about, exactly what we want in life. Mgtows, we take things and we take these things and we make them into exactly what we want in our lives, not what somebody else wants to hear from you, not what somebody else wants to force on you, not what some government or some government agency or some human service rights wants you to say something that's wrong or say something that's weird or just doesn't make sense to you. You speak your mind as a Mgtow. You speak your mind and you say it the way you say it, and you don't need to apologize to nobody. And these people coming around that are the female apologists, the MRAs and their female apology, it just sickens me. It sickens me. And all the guys that are saying, "Oh no, you can't say that about that young kid in Malaysia or Tyler or Immortal or all those guys," and they're apologizing. They're saying, what they're saying is they're a pedo apologist, and I will have none of that. I will have none of that because we've seen the destruction of that, the pure destruction of that with the Harriet Herman, and she will sit back to this day and say, "No, I didn't do that," when they directly linked money that was funneled from an organization that was supposed to be protecting people to an organization. And that's how tricky these people are. They will come with contrary facts. They are contrarians. When you see a contrarian like that, you run from it, because these people that are the Yobaxas and the Hairless Apes and the Stephanorians and the all those people are contrarians. They don't care about much in their life. They have no honor. They will pose themselves as one thing while they're acting as another. And that's what Harriet Herman did. Contrarians. But on this day, we defy the government. We go out into our backyards. We blow off fireworks as a symbol. We light bonfires. If we don't ask the government if we're allowed to have a permit to light it on this day, we don't ask the government if we're allowed to show a display of ammonium nitrate, which is a display of force saying, "I can take my government back any time I want. I am America." And it's not the government officials. It's not the politicians, the corrupt politicians or the corrupt businessmen in this country. It's the American people saying directly in your face, "I believe in two things. I believe in the right to freedom of speech. And I believe if you try to take that from me, I believe in the right to own weapons." And put that link together in your head. And it goes in order for a purpose. But on this day, an American veteran, Joe, me, I have to broadcast from another link because I had my right to freedom of speech taken by what I consider a pedophile apologist group, a female apologist group, an apologist group took my right as an American veteran that I earned above all things. I earned that right, that First Amendment right, and took it from me through some shady politics or some shady backroom deals, some shady bullshit. You can't say this. I'll say whatever I want because I am a true American. That's delightful coffee. This is probably once a year I get to drink this. Twice a year, 3 times a year, depending on how much I buy it. But you guys should try it. It's called Jamaican. I don't know if you know about Jamaican coffee. Buy it in some green beans. It'll be a little bit and roast it on your stove. Take a couple, about a half a cup, roast it up on your stove to a light Vienna roast. That will be the first, right after the first crack, you'll hear a subtle crack going on and it'll go pop, 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 pop. And then the second crack is a harsher crack. It goes pip, 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 pip. And then you just turn it off right when you have the right color that you want to see. And then give it a go and see what you think about it. I think it's good. It took me a while this year to figure out how to roast the Mount Kilimanjaro bean. It has a lot of moisture in it. It's very fresh. I wasn't sure if I wanted an Italian roast, a French roast, a Vienna roast, a city roast, or an American roast, or a breakfast blend. And finally, after about 3/4 of the bag, I finally figured out that I wanted right below a Vienna roast, and I wanted more of a city roast on it. And then the full impact and flavor of it came out, and I was like, "Oh man, that's good." Man, when you get it right, you just nail it. I want to say hello to everybody in the room. Hello, Red Pill Growth. Hello, MH. Mgtow here. I like that name. Hello, John Kramer. Hello, Shingers. Hello, John Kramer. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody that's listening and going to listen about the apologists today. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the apologist. We're talking about MRA apologist, apologizing for female behavior. We're talking about pedo apologist. Happy 4th, Red Pill Ghost. We're talking about the pedo apologist apologizing for pedophilia and saying, Joe, you can't say that, and saying, I say it to all people. No, I said it to 4 people. I said it to 4 people. They generalize in their speech and they somehow include themselves in on that. Yo Bax, I don't think I've ever called him a pedophile. I called him a homosexual because he is a homosexual. And Hairless Ape, I never called a pedophile. I don't know where he gets off thinking that I called him that. He just includes himself in that, and he starts doing the pedophilia apology thing like Harriet Herman, that leftist. And then he'll spout out how many guns he has, how he believes in his country, and how he believes in all that stuff. And he takes a very right view on everything. And then he'll act like Harriet Herman, which just makes me all sorts of mad. These are the reasons I kind of fall in the middle of my politics. I always try to take a good view on these things, and I rarely talk about politics, is because it's nobody, hardly any people I see in this world have a real in the middle view and can take both sides for their merits and take both sides and say you got some problems. We got yellow dogs on the left and we got red dogs on the right, and they'll just any kind of garbage that their parties spout out, they'll just believe at face value, and they don't want to do the actual thinking. They want somebody to tell them how to think. These are the tribalists. These are the These are the people that can't think for themselves, the 70% of Americans that probably have under 130 IQs. They need somebody to tell them where they go, but who to trust. There becomes a lot of problems, and I see these problems that are exerted in Mgtow with this. I see these problems that are exerted. Uh, the same feminists they call themselves anti-feminists, and then they act like feminists. The same rightists that are acting just like Harriet Herman call themselves rightists and really are leftists, as contrary individuals that have very little mental capacity to be talking about these things. It leaves you best left to the professionals on these things, but their mental capacity has been diminished probably since they overdosed, or the bunch of freaking hippies overdosed when they were kids, or their mom had the umbilical cord wrapped around her head when he was trying to squeeze his way out or something, some lack of oxygen. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what their problem, their major malfunctions are, but they're not like me. They're not patriots, and they're not ex-veterans, and they're not even sensible at most times. Most of them are apologists, and whatever the next big group that comes along, they'll be aboard on that stuff too. Trust me, they're on that wagon. They're front runners, and there's a bunch of names for them. And sorry, I got a little coffee down the wrong pipe there. Oh, that's delicious. You guys really got to try that. I mean, if you do something nice for yourself and life, I mean, got a little extra money to spend one day and you can't figure out what to do for yourself and you like coffee, buy yourself a bag of Jamaican blend, go to Amazon or something, have it shipped to your house, and give it a go and give it a try. I think you'll like it. It is the finest cup of coffee in the world, but it is 40, 45, 50, up to $65 a pound. And that's about it. Hollow unrest. Mexicans might be too open-minded. I'm not really sure about that. Hollowed unrest. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But there's one thing that really, really bothers me on this day, the 4th of July, where we celebrate our First Amendment and our Second Amendment. And we celebrate basically our freedoms, all of our freedoms of speech, our freedoms to bear arms, our freedoms to move about freely in our country and stuff like that. Our freedoms to pick a religion of your own choice, our freedoms to a lot of these freedoms are under attack nowadays. Like I said, I'm using this channel because traversable asceticism was under attack by a bunch of pedo apologists, and they took my channel down. They took a veteran's right to free speech. And on this day, that is a travesty. That is a travesty. So I use this channel now because you can't shut me up, because I will not be shut up. I will not be shut up, and I will say exactly what I say about females. I will say exactly what I say about these people, and I'm not going to be one of those apologists. I'm not going to be a female apologist and say, oh, I'm not going to say some women aren't like that. In my very, very astute opinion, all women are like that. All women have the capacity to be that way. All women nowadays have a gun in the room. It's not a few of them, and I'm not going to apologize for their behaviors, their immature behaviors that came to this point in our country where we have gender arguments between the genders. It's just ridiculous, and it sounds like a man and woman outside fighting in front of my house. You ever watch a husband and wife fight? You ever watch that disgusting act? It makes me sick. That's what the MRA reminds me of. instead of simply removing yourself and walking away from that horrible event that you're about to have. And that's what Mgtow does. We simply walk away from that horror event. They sit there and fight for all the public to see, not being able to identify a lot of the problem. And the MRA becomes female apologists, and a lesbian feminist blah blah, as seen by Harriet Herman, become all kinds of apologists, notorious pedophile apologists in Harriet Herman's case. And you can link it directly to some weird brand of female politics that they call feminism, but it's just a woman acting like a woman. And we'll call it the way it is here in Mgtow. But there we go, nice. But on this day, we don't put up with it. We don't put up with the lack of free speech or not being able to bear arms or them things that we believe in. On this day, I will start a bonfire and I will not apologize. On this day, I will blow off all sorts of cannonade and I will not apologize. So I don't want to take too much of your time today. I just wanted to say thank you. I just wanted to say, yes, Yobaxa, you're a freaking feminist, pedo apologist. And yes, all those guys, the hairless ape and all those guys that are coming, you're all apologists. You're all female apologists. The MRA is basically female apologists apologizing every day. Every single day, I don't get some MRA over here. Well, all women aren't that way. My wife ain't that way. My girl ain't that way. No, all women are that way. And yes, I am talking about your wife and your mother. Get mad at me. I will not apologize for it. All the anti-feminists out there and the skeptics, atheists doing the same thing, being apologists. No, no, not in my world. Not on this day. Never in my world. Not on any day of my life around me. So I give a big finger in the air with the Mgtow sign. I'll give you a big finger and say, go screw yourselves. Yobaxa, Stephanie, Stephanorian, and pretty much some guys I see in my group, which makes me disgusted lately. And we're going to do something about that pretty soon, too. I have to separate myself from people. But that's no problem. That's no problem. That's what I do. I separate myself. I'll walk away. So with that on our mind and all this blah, 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 don't be a Harriet Herman. Yobaxa, Stephanarian, Stephanie. I just love that. Hairless ape, whoever else comes at us. Yeah, I see you. I see your contrary asses. I see your anti-American asses. I see what you want. You're contrarians. And that's all I got to say today. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm going to go get on my day, finish my coffee, and get moving. Mgtows, thanks for being Mgtow. Never apologize for what you say as long as you believe, as long as you can prove it at somewhere, just a modicum of proof. Keep with it. Don't apologize. Don't be like them. They'll apologize for everything. They will acquiesce. They will acquiesce and bend and bow. That is not manly. Thanks a lot, Mgtows, and thanks for being Mgtow. You guys take care.